Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you let John edit you out of context.
Yes, I'm sorry, but the penis votes the way the penis votes, and that's how most men vote anyway, so...
Well, that's okay. It's probably no change to John's life anyway, because he's married, so, I mean, if he wants to have a wank, he probably has to pay royalties regardless. What if you're turned on by intelligent chicks, and you want to look up, intelligent chick porn? It doesn't exist.
Outfits.
It cannot exist. Quick question. Is anyone else actually drinking at the moment?
I finished my beer.
Is anyone else just a little bit sick of rape? It used to all be about fun boobs. Now it's all rapey boobs. I love finding someone, when they're just starting out, because then you get the whole thing.
It's time to rage. Let's rage.
What's good, boys and girls? You are listening to Uninformed, a podcast where the louder you are, the smarter you sound. Regular show host, John Clark, is away on a grand quest searching for the internet meme that never gets old. I, the Insurgent King, am Harrison Leake. Joining me this week is my notoriously skeptical spell sword, Andrew Finn.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
And from the bordering plains of Xenoth is Tucker, commonly referred to by his own people as Tucker.
Good evening, all.
Alright, gentlemen. So now that we've finally got this, I believe this is our 4th episode of the podcast rolling, do either of you have any FU or follow-up from the last episode?
Not that I can think of.
A fountain of ideas, you two.
Well, from practical experience, because my news topic on DICE's servers, I don't know if they swapped over yet, but, I mean, the couple of games that I've played since last week's episode have been incredibly stable. There's been almost no problems so far.
Oh, that's good. You're referring to Battlefield switching over to those super servers.
That's it. I don't know if the switch has happened yet, but I can tell you from first-hand experience that the game is now a lot better.
Cool.
Me and Tucker were playing literally 5 minutes before this started, and it was going fine. Well, we weren't going fine. We were doing terribly, but the server was.
I'm sure the server was basically on fire trying to keep up.
We died valiantly.
That's good. Battlefield. If you play long enough to have fun, you'll probably crash.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't in last episode, were you, Tucker?
No, I was.
Yeah, it was episode 2 that you missed then, wasn't it? Yes, that's right. Last episode was a complete cluster stuff up. First, in my personal opinion, I mean, it was good trying to get 5 people onto one podcast, but it was very to and fro. Alright, gents, well in that case, we should plough forth onto patch notes. What are patch notes? Patch notes are where we all give a, let's call it random article. It doesn't really matter when it happened or who it affects, because it affects you right now. How about we start with Andrew?
Well, you've probably obviously heard throughout your life of numerous scientific studies that have been aimed at benefiting mankind and generally making life more pleasant for the rest of us. I've got one here which tests nothing, achieves nothing, and is utterly pointless. How to win at rock, paper, scissors.
And is there a secret for 100% guaranteed success? Because that would help me out.
Well, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, good money was spent on this, and I can tell you that the easiest way to win at rock, paper, scissors is, if you lose the first round, to, instead of changing to something random, use the item that would have won the round that you lost. Because the person who won, psychologically apparently, is more likely to stick with what won the first time round.
Wow. That's actually pretty good.
This is science, ladies and gentlemen. This is the cutting edge of science. How to win rock, paper, scissors.
Yes. Mankind is now better for it.
What the flying hell is going on?
Well, I mean, my gambling addiction just became a good income now.
Well, it's benefited one person.
Brilliant. No, that's pretty cool. I mean, certain types of games aren't allowed in higher class casinos, such as rock, paper, scissors. But, I mean, if it were, I think that would just be frankly quite awesome. It would be very well-to-do, and, yes, the good sir has won with a pair of scissors. And then you get to, walk out of there with $3 million or whatever. So,
the study was
something great.
Yeah. Come to think of it, what makes a gambling game allowed or not allowed within a casino?
Whether or not it makes money or not in large quantities.
Yeah. Well, I mean, rock, paper, scissors could be a guaranteed win for the house. Both people enter in. The winner doesn't take all. The winner takes all minus an amount that the house would take. So it doesn't matter who wins, the house always wins. So that's right, you heard it here first. Rock, paper, scissors coming to a casino near you.
Oh my god. This was done...
No, that's brilliant.
I hesitate to call it a survey, or it was literally, it is the article. Scientists people recruited 360 students and divided them into groups of 6. Each competitor played 300 rounds of rock, paper, scissors against other members of their group. Oh, the winners were paid. So that's why people took part in this. Play rock, paper, scissors and get paid. Yeah, I can see how that'd work.
See, this really is gonna absolutely kickstart a whole new generation of, living life to the extreme and making money on a wing.
But these were scientists, for God's sake. At a university, don't they have something better to research? Or have they run out of saving ideas that save the world?
I'm sure the whole thing started with a teacher walking in on 2 university students playing rock, paper, scissors, and the teacher was about to, chew their ear off for mucking around, and the students just kind of rolled with it, like, no, this is a part of a scientific study. We are going to do a whole thesis on this and everything, and so the teacher had nothing to complain about. You disagree? I think I've nailed it.
I think the teacher looked at his wallet and goes, it's not money because no one paid. Maybe if I turn this in my favour and apply some sort of addictive money exchanging activity, maybe it's work. Alas, rock, paper, scissors, we started it, it's happening, internet, you can walk.
I think a PhD student was really lazy.
No, how much did you say they threw into this research project?
It doesn't say how much, but it wouldn't be the most expensive survey ever done, because it was done with university students and you pay next to nothing for university students. But
still, it's a gallant effort, clearly. No, that's a good piece. And on to you, Tucker.
Alright, I guess 2 quick stories. The first one, House of Cards Season 3 confirmed. Frank Underwood is in Modern Warfare.
Yes.
So you heard it here first. Confirmed.
We did see the ads. It was a likeness, but whenever they transfer someone into a video game, it never pulls off quite right. It's the very first game I ever saw where they got it right was probably Half-Life 2.
Yes, but Half-Life 2 got everything right.
It did get everything right. But they knew they couldn't just take a person's face and put it into a video game. It just didn't look quite right. So they still used the face, but they made it almost like a bit more cartoonish, a bit more, dare I even use the word, anime-ish. And the end result was something that looked like it should have been in the game, but also looked like it had a real face. So I think they're kind of going overboard with, especially in most modern AAA titles, where they go, oh yes, we'll get these celebrities into the game, that'll be great. And it just, I don't know about you guys, but Kevin Spacey in that ad just looks like he's suffering from diabetes. His face is so fat.
No, I agree. It didn't quite look right. I mean, it definitely sounded right. And the moment I saw the ad, I'm like, yes, Frank Underwood. Who's he going to kill this time? Wait, the world! Oh, that makes sense now. That's what all
private military corporation.
Oh, yes. I think it might also be a ploy to try and educate your average Call of Duty player. Oh, I went there.
That's a full-on hope if ever there was one.
Well, it doesn't matter because we can all confirm we've already played it because I don't think Call of Duty's changed since, Modern Warfare 2. The same game skin.
Yeah, pretty much.
Still, I mean, it is a good effort. I'm glad they're actually trying to put some stuff in and keep things interesting. Because, I mean, personally, I haven't even played Modern Warfare since Modern Warfare 1.
You missed that number too.
It was a great, game, but everything that came out since, I keep on hearing such mixed stuff that it doesn't push me over the line to the point of buying it.
After Modern Warfare 2, it just turned to rubbish as far as I mean, Black Ops, the first Black Ops I thought was pretty fun, but everything since then I think has just been absolute claptrap.
Yeah, no, I
Anyways,
I agree.
So here's to keeping it interesting.
I mean, Ghosts look like the most generic crap out there.
Right up there with the name.
Well, it's mainly, I mean, at the end of the day, Call of Duty is mainly about the multiplayer, so arguing about the single-player issues is kind of irrelevant.
True.
I mean, like, you can jump up and down and say that the single player in Battlefield 4 was rubbish, but then who really cares, because you're not there.
Wait, who buys Battlefield for single player?
Exactly. Why do they even
But
have
look
it?
at the doggy! Look at the doggy! It's so cute.
Biggest joke on the internet.
No, I actually do need to play that game. I've heard such good things about the dog.
I guess I'll move on to the second topic of discussion. I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but the Australian government's now announced they're bringing this new anti-piracy actions. So essentially they're making it official and bringing in either, I think it's the 3 strikes you're out policy, or preventative measures to bring down like notorious pirating sites such as the Pirate Bay or whatever.
Oh shit, they're onto me. You can't bring down the Pirate Bay. Bigger governments than the Australian government have tried and failed.
Especially with our slow internet.
Yes. Also, I should say, since I've heard nothing of this article, clearly the Australian government don't know how to actually get their news out on said internet. So they are struggling from square one.
I think our government struggles to understand exactly what kind of concept the internet is. I think they read a book written by someone who knows something about the internet, and then their ideas come entirely from that, because it's as if they think it's this sort of abstract entity that they can control.
You should ask him, have you met anyone from the internet? If you have, then you'll realize this is not going to work.
They're actually, wait, there are people on the internet? When did this happen?
How did they get into the computer?
Yeah, it'd be like the scene out of
Put it on the
Zoolander.
line.
Of course! The files are in the computer. It's so simple. We really do rag on the Australian government here so hard. They really deserve it.
Well, Tucker, how exactly are they planning on going against piracy? Is this like every computer is going to be examined, or is it just after the site's responsible?
I think it's a combination of essentially the Attorney General. Well, he's been in talks with ISPs on ways to counter Australia's apparent problem with piracy. But I mean, I also read in these articles that Google kind of got shut down on, I think, their suggestion that when they identified the problem was availability and pricing in Australia, and addressing this problem would be a far better way to address it compared to, giving everyone the stick and go, 3 strikes, we beat you! And you get, it's, just logical.
Well, that's okay, it's okay. I mean, we've cracked rock, paper, scissors, so clearly the 3 strike thing will just win each time round. But I mean, how, using the internet, does an Australian citizen get a hold of, for example, the latest episode of House of Cards or Game of Thrones? You can't. It just doesn't happen here in Australia.
Well, like a good law-abiding individual, you sit patiently and you wait for it. Or like 90% of the population who watches it, you jump on Pirate Bay and download it because they won't give us the goddamn thing.
Wait, you guys don't pay Foxtel the premium amount to be, an upper-class citizen and watch, Game of Thrones and House of Cards? I mean,
we are past
what is this?
Foxtel. We have the internet.
I don't
now.
actually watch television.
Neither, to be honest. But lots of people do want to watch these programs, and they don't want to pay for Foxtel because TV is basically archaic in this day and age. I don't want to be streamed a set thing. I want to search and find out the things that I like, and I want to watch them.
No, I agree. I think it's also the fact that in Australia we get charged through the nose, and saying is to have the privilege to watch these things. Whereas, for example, I think Foxtel, their direct streaming is about $35 a month. I think if you want the HBO on demand. But, probably apples and oranges a little bit here, but, comparatively, Netflix in America is $8 a month. So
$8 a month, that is cheap.
Yeah.
See, that's good value.
It is. So I think, like a lot of Australians see this, value for money. It's like, why would I pay $35 a month for 4 episodes of Game of Thrones when if we were in America? Maybe Game of Thrones is the wrong example because I've been reading that, it's not just Australia gets screwed over here. England gets screwed, everyone else, apparently even the Americans. It's not that widely available. You have to go through these select few who HBO have ordained to be the providers to the So
well, I read an article where Netflix was saying that they said that the way to bring down piracy is to provide the content and then make it easy to get and make it fast. And they backed it up with their data, saying that because their system was so good at doing what it did to those who could get it, that the rates of piracy dropped because people just said, well, this is easy, so I'll pay for it. That's the main
Absolutely.
reason why people pirate things. It's not because they can't be bothered to pay for it, it's because they can't get it.
Just to clarify, HBO, if you're listening, I have money. If I give you the money, you give me Game of Thrones at a reasonable amount. And this is probably very common amongst most Australians. We have money, we want to give to you, why are you making this so difficult? I didn't know transaction could be so hard. I have the money, you have the content. Let's make a deal somewhere that's fair.
The sad truth is that it's not HBO's fault. They want to provide this stuff to us because of said money, but it's all locked up in copyright claims and international laws. There's all this red tape everywhere saying, oh, we can provide this within this country. You want to provide it to another country, that's kind of like a international shipping thing. They're still thinking along the same lines of putting a DVD onto a boat and shipping that to Australia. The same law applies between that and accessing it over the internet and the end user is in Australia. Legally it's the same thing, so it's catch up, people.
Yeah, we're slightly backwards out here.
Yeah, so what are your predictions, gents, when the Australian government attempts to knuckle down on said piracy only for the entire Australian people to go, oh, we still don't have Netflix, so more piracy?
Same thing that always happens. Nothing. This is all
Proxy
cheap.
servers.
Nothing.
Can't control the internet. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
No, bad internet. Bad, do not do this.
People. That's the problem, is that the internet is a collection of people who knows how some people on the internet knows how it works. So they'll be able to bypass whatever the government does, because the government doesn't have a clue how anything works.
Well, to quote a very famous quote, the internet, it's not a big truck, okay? It's a series of tubes. I believe that was the very first internet meme I ever heard as a child, so it has fond memories in my...
Yeah, it's been a while since I had that one.
Yes. Alright, well, moving on. My article this week, gentlemen, is that the very first personal computer is available in Cuba. Previously in Cuba, it was illegal for you to buy a computer unless you were a government official. So, I just want to give you the specs on this very first government-approved computer. It's $800 about. It has a Celeron processor, a whopping 80 gigabytes hard drive, half a gig of RAM, Windows XP, Service Pack 1, and a CRT monitor. It does not have internet. Internet is only allowed to government officials.
So they go roughly around to a tip.
They must have found a lot of these in some tip.
Premium quality. And I can guess what the first market will be for this. It will be the RAM upgrades for Windows XP.
Yeah, half a gig.
Yeah, 512, I think it was okay when it first started out, but,
So, I was wondering, when I read Celeron processor, I said, I remember using a Celeron processor a lot. Why do I have so many memories of using a Celeron processor? Oh, of course! It was so damn slow that I spent the majority of my life waiting for it.
Yeah, I think the Celeron was the kind of entry level compared to the premium Pentium 4 and Pentium 3, I believe.
Yes, that's right. So, my question to you gents is, how far behind would you say Cuba is? Windows XP came out in 2001, so you could say, oh, okay, they're roughly, 15 years behind. But technology moves at a faster and faster rate every single day. So, would you say that they're one step behind? Would you say they're in an age difference, like the difference between the Bronze and the Steel Age? How far behind do you reckon that is?
In the opening stages of World War II, where Polish cavalry...
I was there. I know all about it.
Where Polish cavalry charged German tanks.
Yeah,
I'm saying
imagine
that's the difference right there. Horse versus tank. Guess who won?
Yeah, that's a very brutal analogy.
I think Cuba's betting on the horse in this one.
Yeah, exactly. I can't do a Cuban accent, and John's not here to do it for me, but they've gone and found their best Cuban horse and set it up against, I don't know, what's the most advanced tank in the world? The Abrams is the only one I know. Set it up against that.
Yeah.
Well, according to every movie ever made, the horse is going to win this one.
Yeah,
he's going to win. He's got this.
Because of arbitrary laws in physics.
Yeah. Clearly we need to root for the small guy. The small guy being an oppressive country that doesn't allow its own citizens access to the internet. So, oh, wow. But I mean, what would you guys do? If you had the opportunity, in a oppressive government to be the first to introduce your people to a computer, and that computer had to be something that the government was absolutely on top of. It had to be like an old thing where every single loophole had been closed. You know exactly what's going to be on that computer because you don't want any, rebellious stuff. So, do you reckon this is a positive move, or should they not even bother?
It's a step. Yeah. It's better than nothing.
Yeah. Still, I'm not liking these specs.
It's a terrible computer, but a step in the right direction.
They're all going to get owned at Counter-Strike. It's not going to work for them.
Well, anyway, this is opening up a new market in Cuba for running Windows XP support companies. So.
They've opened up a whole new industry for them.
Yeah.
I can see it right now. Someone, and this is going to be very reminiscent of myself, who doesn't want to upgrade, who wants Windows XP support. Well, it's easy. They just go to the Cuban government.
Or just any supplier.
They will, the number of support calls going into that country and being able to charge for it will basically keep that entire country afloat on a single thing.
True.
It'll be the niche of all niche markets.
Although, interesting enough, I read that, we all know that XP is being discontinued and stuff. Well, apparently it hasn't had that much of a dent on the actual, on their market share. I think it only dropped by 1.5%, so.
They're set in stone, so.
Exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of out-of-date operating systems, I had an absolute tantrum this morning when every single Mac at work gave a nice little pop-up saying, "Hey, you should upgrade to Mavericks." Thank you, Apple, for installing adware on all of your computers. My computers can't upgrade to Mavericks, so it's not free for me. I would have to buy a new computer.
And John's not here to bring up his arbitrary defense points.
No, this is delightful.
He's completely objective, unbiased, and logically sound defense.
Of Apple. Yes.
Not based
I will leave it there before he... if I go on any further, he'll basically just cut me out of this episode of the podcast altogether.
And probably the next 10, so...
Yeah. So I will leave it there, which I suppose brings us to our next section, which is lovingly named by John after me. What game has Harry been playing wrong this week? But rather than answering that question myself first, I'll go straight to you, Tucker. What game have you been playing this week that I would play incorrectly?
Oh, man, talk about behind the times. I've just started The Last of Us.
The Last of Us. I bought a Sony PlayStation 3 just so I could play that.
As many people.
Yes. And I got about 10 minutes in and went, I've felt the feels from the opening scene, and then I lost interest.
Oh, really? So there's no relationship build up after? Oh wait, spoilers.
So I've gotten about 10 minutes in myself. How far have you gotten?
I think I'm about 4 hours into the game.
Okay, well you're clearly ahead of me, so anything I talk about won't be spoilers. So I knew the second I saw the girl's face in the opening, 30 seconds. I'm like, wait a second, this girl looks extremely cute and nice, and she's not on the box cover. She's going to die. Oh, brace for feels. Feels incoming!
I think that's common for most new media types these days. I mean, Game of Thrones, House of Cards, anything. If someone's having fun, is enjoyable, or smiling, their probability of dying is increased dramatically.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of movies. In a movie, you've got the black guy who always cops it. But in video games, you've got the white girl. And the whiter she is, the quicker she'll die.
Elizabeth didn't die in Bioshock Infinite.
True. But I mean, a lot...
Infinite proper.
Yeah, but we're talking about Bioshock. I mean, lots of little white girls copped a fate a lot worse than death in BioWare.
Fair enough. Bioshock, not BioWare.
Yeah, I think the first two games have kind of stockpiled the terrible, tormenting fate the little white girls achieved.
Yeah. That's probably why they put Infinite in with Elizabeth, because they needed to kind of make it up to it.
See, there's nothing wrong with her. She's fine.
She's fine.
Sorry for tormenting all the little white children in the first game.
Yeah. Mind you, then of course they lose track, and spoiler alert, in alternate realities, all kinds of terrible things happen to said girl.
Psych. Gotcha.
Yeah, but then they keep on track. Like, oh, wait, it's supposed to be making up for all the death. Yes, okay.
Okay, on The Last of Us, though, it was basically the most acclaimed game at the end of last year.
Yeah, which is why I bought it and why it sat on my coffee table for like I've had it for about 4 months. I bought it on online at a ridiculously cheap price. I shipped it over here. I'm like, excellent, I'm going to play this right after I finished with whatever was in my Steam catalog at the time, which still hasn't finished.
Yeah, that just gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it was only until literally this weekend I went, fuck it, I'm going to play that game. And then I proceeded to put it into my PlayStation, and then I walked away, and I came back the next day and went, shit, I put a game in. So then I played it for a bit, and I played for 4 hours straight to make up for the fact that I neglected it all Saturday.
But even still, you're playing it right in the sense that you're actually playing the game. I would have played the game wrong, and I am playing the game wrong in the sense that I'm not playing it. The disc is still in my PlayStation 3, which I've unplugged and left in the corner for a few months now.
I don't own a PlayStation.
I'll lend this one to you then. I hear it's a good game, so.
Oh yeah, it looks good. Like, I really enjoyed the Uncharted series, so my expectations of this game are high.
So from what you've played so far, Tucker, does it feel like it sort of lives up to the reputation that it earned? Or do you think it was mainly just overhyped?
Oh, don't ask that question.
I had to.
Yeah,
No.
The worst thing is I left it, like, probably, 6 months to a year since it came out, which is, like, the worst thing you could possibly do. And I'm learning this the hard way, don't do it. But, yeah, I guess, like, people said, like, it's a zombie game, and I had in my head what it could possibly be, and I started playing, and, like, that's not the kind of zombie I pictured. There's no, infection, ground zero one kind of thing happening. I mean, there was, but not the traditional means by which it starts, which is a good thing, because I'm like, oh, yeah, it's kind of a cool way to twist that and put it now into a zombie kind of thing. But, yeah, I'm mixed feelings. I'm sitting on the fence, I'm like, it's good. And from what I hear from everyone else, it's like, like when you get further into the game, it gets better and better and better. And I'm like, I'm not that far into the game yet. Don't fucking spoil it.
It's always annoying.
Yeah. Andrew, that's always the worst question to ask. No, don't make me think about subjective pros and cons of a game, and is it worth its money value? Be more like John. Just enjoy it.
Yeah, just be a drone. He's gonna
I'm trying to keep an open mind. So.
That's the best.
Okay, well, we look forward to seeing how that goes, because how your experience plays out will probably determine whether I actually turn this PlayStation of mine back on or not. Yeah. Alright, Andrew, what have you been playing this week?
Elder Scrolls Online.
Tell us. That's not good.
That's review over. You said enough.
You've convinced me not to buy it. Thank you.
Well, it's the first time I've paid for a subscription MMO. And I bought the game, $88, installed it, then had to sign up to the subscription. And that was, I honestly thought I could hear my teeth cracking, though my jaw was clenched so hard when I did that. It just felt wrong. But that aside, it's impossible to not compare ESO to Skyrim and Oblivion and Morrowind. And there's so much that they've had to remove, or just not put in it to start with, to make it an MMO, that I keep having to tell myself, why isn't half the content here? It's because it's an MMO. It doesn't work that way. I keep having to tell myself that. And eventually I sort of adjusted to that. So I'm used to the fact that you don't walk into a tomb, explore every single corner of it, steal everything that you possibly can, and then sell it all, because half of it's not there, and the other half is pretty much not worth anything. So there's an adjustment period that I'm still sort of going through, because I still play Skyrim as well, so that doesn't help. A lot of people jumped up and down saying that they'd said that the combat was now fixed. I think they've actually gone backwards with it. The combat in Skyrim was the best that I'd seen in Elder Scrolls, and I started in Morrowind. So I think that's gone backwards. The magic, I haven't really tried the magic enough to say either way. The characters have gone back to the Oblivion style of staring straight at you with their eyes wide open, scaring the absolute crap out of you. So that's good old Bethesda for you. Oh, and it's a Bethesda game, so it's got bugs up the arse.
That is good. That is actually very good news for me to hear. I am relieved to hear that there are bugs, because it would not be a Bethesda game without bugs. And we all love Bethesda.
There are bugs.
Yep.
Don't ever change Bethesda, please.
Well, it is a good game. I am enjoying playing it. I will say that. Is it worth a subscription? I'll have to wait till the first bill comes, and if I'm still playing, I'll be able to tell you then. It was built separately to Skyrim, because its production started about 6 or 7 years ago, I believe, so it was built differently to it. There's aspects from Morrowind and Oblivion in it that I really appreciate that are there. For instance, the RPG system in it is a lot more complicated, making it an actual RPG, whereas Skyrim was a pseudo-RPG, because they took 90% of the complexity and threw it in the garbage bin, which kind of ruined it to a degree. So it's definitely more of an RPG. Strangely enough, I don't feel like it would be improved by the presence of other people. In fact, the other people running around just tend to annoy me because they steal half the stuff, and there's not much to steal, and they also finish half the jobs for me before they're done. So, the other people in it are annoying, so I don't see the MMO point to it so far, but I don't think I've played it.
So, you're suggesting that if someone play The Elder Scrolls Online, they should find a time of the day when the server is particularly low in online population, so to get a better experience, if you will?
Yeah, I think so. If you're a fan...
the irony!
I know, it's ridiculous, but if you're a fan of The Elder Scrolls, as I am, then you'll be used to spending hours upon hours upon hours completely by yourself in the world of the Elder Scrolls and not communicating with another human being for several months at a time. As an MMO, that just means that other people make it more annoying for me.
So in the end, people who do get this game are just going to go back and play Skyrim?
I think there's a good chance of that. I mean, it is a good game, don't get me wrong. Like, the combat's not as good as it was in Skyrim, but it is still a lot of fun. It's a bit more arcadey, just mashing buttons sort of thing. So there's not as much strategy in it. Trying to get armor and weapons, I mean, I haven't played that much of it, but so far that's proven to be somewhat strange. Maybe I'm not that big on MMOs anyway. I never played WoW or anything like that, so I'm sure half the people on the internet now want to murder me for everything that I've said. But
no, there is someone wrong on the internet. I must correct him.
Someone has their own opinion which differs from my own. How will I
cannot stand?
I'm
going to have to play a lot more of it before I can really say whether it's good or bad. At the start, it felt like when I first played Fallout 3, and I hated Fallout 3 when I first started. But once eventually I learnt that it wasn't Oblivion, and that it was, you had to play it very differently to a standard shooter, I absolutely adored it, and it's on my top 5 best games ever list now. So, Elder Scrolls has the potential to go that way for me. I just have to play a lot more of it.
Okay, Nick.
Fair enough.
Question. Do you see this as Skyrim multiplayer? Or are you seeing it as a kind of its own MMO? Or, like, to extend on that question, where do you feel it's going?
I started out on Bleakrock Isle, which is off the coast of Skyrim, and it didn't feel like Skyrim Online. It feels like it's its own game. It's impossible to not compare it to its predecessors, but it doesn't feel like it's a successor to that throne. It feels like it's its own game, strangely enough. And I think the more that I play it, and the more that, like, the longer it goes on, and the more it gets patched and refined and stuff is added to it, it'll become more and more its own MMO, which is probably a good thing, but that, honestly, it depends what direction they take it as to where it goes. And, I mean, if it winds up being like anything like WoW, being this never-ending regime of expansions, then it could be good, or I don't know. Honestly, it depends where the future holds for it. And at the moment, they're still in sort of the patching it, figuring out what people hate and what they like part. But it feels like it's its own game.
Yeah, that's how I felt with the beta. I felt like, I know I'm in the Skyrim, Elder Scrolls universe, but it doesn't quite feel like its predecessors. It's something that's different.
Yeah.
And what I was happy about was that it didn't feel like WoW. Because if it did feel like WoW, I'm like, well, I'm not going to pay you for
You
what
just
WoW
don't
does.
play WoW.
Exactly. So I'm hoping that it doesn't kind of die in the arse and that it does offer something different to WoW. Because what I wanted initially was Skyrim multiplayer, and I kind of felt that when I played the beta, but it didn't feel quite Skyrim-y. Like there's some things missing. I think John will agree because we both played the beta, and it was good. It was okay. There are a lot of bugs. So I'll be interested to see your opinion later on, seeing that you're playing the full retail. Well, not full, but you're playing the release version.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of subscription-based MMOs, this got me thinking. A lot of the demographic of people that will subscribe to something like this wouldn't, typically speaking, be the kind of person who's very tight on their financials. How many people do you reckon subscribe to a game such as this and then completely forget they're subscribed, not noticing that they're being charged each month for the next,
John Clark.
John Clark.
Yes, basically, yes, John. I tried to daddle around that, but yes. If you were a John Clark, how many John Clarks do you think there are?
Too many.
Enough to make a survival model for Bethesda.
That's what scares me about WoW. Some of the people that I play online with will not play WoW for 6 months. And then they'll go back and start playing again, but they've been paying for that subscription the whole time.
This is also just...
It's like him with Eve.
And me as well. So I tend to like dabble back into WoW, like when a new expansion comes out. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll check it out. And the first month is great, and then I realize, oh wait, this is Blizzard, which means the next major patch will be up for 3 months. So yeah, so this is the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
It's got me thinking. I wonder how many times in the future we'll see, especially with multiplayer games, how they're more of a service than a game. I can imagine some game becomes old and not too many people play it anymore, and so they cut the servers. You can't play the game anymore. But then, a years down the track, someone will notice that people that subscribed are still being charged that monthly subscription.
That's beholden to the company then to cancel all the subscriptions.
Yes, so I'm just wondering how long it is until a news article like that pops up, because I don't think it's a matter of if, I think it's a matter of when.
How many MMOs does EA have?
That is such a good question to ask. I don't know, I will find out and have an answer by next podcast.
Because they will be the first.
Just in time for John to get back and...
Yes, you can defend them.
And discuss it. Yes. Alright. Well, for me, this week, the game that I've been playing incorrectly is Hearthstone. Which, how one plays a card game wrong is, frankly, quite a challenge, because I like to think that I'm actually quite good at the game, but the reason I play it wrong is that I only ever play as the one character. I play as the mage.
Yes!
I only ever play as a particular type or a particular build of mage cards, simply because I think that one day I will find the perfect set. If I perfect it, I will have a card set, and no one will ever be able to beat me.
So
that is why I don't even touch other characters.
What deck are you building at the moment?
So my card deck, I've got one that is specialized around just constantly disabling any enemy character. If the opposition puts a card on the deck, I'm going to freeze it or cast a spell to neutralize something. Yeah. Just basically, they can't play a single hand against me. The other build I've got is one that's constantly buffing other cards. So I'll put one card in, I'll put another card in, and that'll give everyone, plus 10 attack or something. And just to really make things spicy, I have a third build, which is a combination of those first two. So I'm basically getting, 1/8 of the content this game has to provide. By choice, I'm excluding all this other stuff. I'm excluding many cards that I've never seen, simply because I want to perfect this model. I know you can't. There is no such thing as the perfect build. If there was, it would be OP, and Blizzard would just nerf it, yeah. Nerf it to the ends of the world.
Quickly, push it off the nerf tree, make sure it hits every branch on the way down.
Yes, basically. But I am stuck in that mentality. I have to find just that exact set. And John's quite similar. He always plays as the Paladin.
Yeah.
But he only does that because he loves having his character say, "Justice demands retribution." He'll just spam that the entire game.
Speaking of Paladins, playing Paladins as a mage, the amount of joy that I experience when I polymorph, the Paladin's A1 move where they'll chuck a card down, then they'll buff it, and they'll buff it, and buff some more, and then they'll make sure that the attack matches the HP, and it's it's absurd how much damage the thing can do with the amount of life it has. And I'm yes, that will fuck me over. Oh, look, polymorph. Yes, you've been fucked.
Yeah, polymorph is just the best fuck you trollololol card that ever was in any game of any card game, because it's the best. They, especially if you can trick your opposition into using it. If you make it look like you're really out of high hitters, they'll go, fuck it, all in, motherfucker, and just put in what's the dragon? The one that's 12-12.
Yeah, Deathwing it wipes, I think it wipes the board or something.
It wipes his entire hand, it wipes the entire deck, but puts a 12-12 on, which, just to let you, Andrew, know, is basically the most OP thing that you could ever play.
It's the ultimate fuck you, essentially.
Yeah, a standard card would have like 2 attack, 2 health. This mofo's got 12 attack, 12 health. He's going to mess you up. But the mage has this wonderful little card called Polymorph, which turns the enemy into a sheep.
I think I've used that one.
Yeah, fun one.
Yes.
I used it on John on one of his really powerful cards, and he got very angry at me.
Yes, John definitely does that.
He hates Polymorph, and he also hates, who's the Emperor, whatever it is, that's got the shield that says Tazdingo when you put it down.
Yeah, the taunting troll thing.
Yeah, the taunting troll.
He
hates... I think he sees too much of himself in the taunting troll, and that's why he hates it.
Yes, externalizing the internal thing.
Yes. So that's what I've been playing wrong this week. And, I have to say, I actually agree with John. I do play games wrong.
You'll love the character creator in Elder Scrolls Online, then.
Yes? How extensive are we talking?
Probably enough to annoy you.
Awesome. So, just to clue you in, listeners, I, above all things in all games, the one thing I hold dearest is a character creator. I will literally spend hours on it. I think, Dragon Age 2 probably has my record, and, which is funny because I created a character that basically looks like the default character anyway. But it was just ever so slightly tweaked, with some mods in place as well. So I love it. Speaking of, I hear that Elder Scrolls Online is the most mod-friendly MMO.
Really?
Haven't heard anything about that.
It doesn't change that much in the game because it's an MMO. Stats have to stay the same. But I hear things like textures and armor sets can change look. That's what I've heard. I haven't seen
that's a bit... I can understand allowing modding of the UI, that makes sense, but I think the moment you start modifying textures and like changing gameplay effects, that's a bit. I don't see Bethesda saying.
I don't think it'll be changing the gameplay. So it's still an existing armor set, and the other person on the other side still sees that default armor set.
Okay.
Only from your screen, you're running around in some skimpified thing because you've decided to play as a female elf archer or something.
So essentially, everyone's going to have the naked mod. That's all this is going to mean. It's like everyone's going.
Yes. So if anyone who doesn't play the modded version jumps in, all they'll see is like whatever the bulkiest armor is that has the best stats but just looks terrible, like some kind of dwarven armor, I imagine. But to everyone else, it'll just be a
bikini. Oh god, it's going to be like Rust. You spawn in there and everyone's running around stark naked.
So essentially, it's going to be very interesting when people go to PvP and everyone's got the naked mod. Everyone just.
Everyone's in the middle of Cyrodiil killing each other whilst wearing next to nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh boy. It could work for me. I could go either way. I'm still getting a laugh out of this article you sent me, Tucker, just at the beginning. Should sexy attire be banned from the workplace? Because I haven't actually read any of the article yet. I just keep on looking at the very, very nicely dressed office worker. I'm sure it's an office worker in the short skirt and high heels.
She's appropriately dressed. I have no issue with this.
No,
I was an accountant for a while, so...
I think she's very appropriately dressed.
I can't see an issue with this.
The best thing was who the article was about the ATO, which, for international listeners, the Australian Tax Office. So the Australian Tax Office of all people to this article to be about, it's just...
wow.
Hilarious.
But I mean, this is the very embodiment of a biased article, because... It's got the question, it poses the question, but then it shows you, this is what sexy attire looks like. Isn't this good? So everyone looks at the picture and goes, yes, it should stay.
It's probably the guy who made the article probably wanted people to support sexy attire. So he gave them a reason to...
Chris. Yes, it was written by a man. There you go.
Oh no, the best thing, there's a little voting section underneath the article. And I have
jump on that.
I have the results. So the 3 options you allowed were option number 1, only if it's not over the top. Second option, yes. And clearly the third option, no. Let's have a little guessing game. Harry, what do you think was the winning?
I was going to say only if it's not over the top, but this is the internet we're talking about. No one's that restrained. So I'm just going to say it'll be yes, then no, and then only if it's not over the top.
Right, Finny, what's your opinion?
Yes. Flat out win for yes.
Flat out win for yes? Right, and the results are in. Really? The winner, by a thin margin thus far, is only if it's not over the top. at
You're
40,
kidding me.
at 40.71%, followed very closely by yes at 40.06%, leaving no to be 19%. So
you're saying that people on the internet both like seeing women nicely dressed, but have decency to rein themselves in on the internet.
On the internet.
The vote was rigged.
The vote was either rigged, or my understanding of the internet has just been torn to pieces. That, or I've been spending too much time on 4chan.
Yes, and the question, obviously, was should women be allowed to dress sexily in a non-sexy workplace?
I was expecting an absolute, complete swing vote on yes. Just, there'll be one person who wrote no, and they're probably receiving hate mail right now.
Death threats.
But,
this is the internet.
Yeah.
I think some from the Australian government voted no.
Yeah. But no, I'm actually really enthused by such results. People actually, rein in some kind of common decency. That's pretty cool.
I had not expected that.
Yes. Well, leave it to the internet to always surprise.
Oh, I'll give it that.
All right, gents. Any final articles or pieces before we wrap this up?
No, that's it from me.
Fair enough. Tucker?
No.
What's happening? What is happening in... What did I introduce you as? The bordering plains of Zenith. That was right. How's the kingdom over there?
Oh, SSDD. Actually, no, it's not SSDD. It's never the same shit, but it's always a different day. So I can think on that one.
Alright. Alright, well in that case we will wrap this one up. Thank you for joining us on Uninformed. Please subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever you prefer your podcasts. There'll be a new one every week, midweek. If you like this, please send in a review or suggestions to uninformedpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and as John wants me to say, go fuck yourself, San Diego. This is Harrison Leake.
Andrew Finn.
Till next time.